Don't be fooled by the numbers. Proper financial forecasting determines the survival of your business. This video will discuss the importance of financial forecasting and the need for budgeting, sales forecasting, and cash flow management. We will also learn how to secure financial stability through break-even calculation, sensitivity analysis, and financing plans. If you make your financial forecast vague, investors will be suspicious, banks will be reluctant, and CEOs will struggle. Let's explain how to create a realistic financial forecast and how sales, expenses, and profits flow so that you can understand it at a glance. Now let's talk about money, but this is not a romantic dream of let's get rich, but a real number that asks, can my business survive? The reason why financial forecasting is necessary is clear. Do you have enough money to start a business? How long can a deficit last? When will we turn a profit? When can investors get their profits? The answer to all these questions is not feeling, but forecasting. Budgeting must start off well. The budget is the backbone of the business. Let's break it down in detail. Revenue estimation is about which path sales will take, what price to set, how many customers can you secure. For example, in the case of a beauty academy, tuition, X number of students, X annual number of classes, no expected revenue. Fixed costs are costs that go out even if there are no sales. Rent, salaries, utilities, insurance, etc. Variable costs are costs that increase as the number of students increases. For example, practice materials, printed materials, snacks, etc. Initial costs include facility interior design, equipment purchase, website creation, etc. Be sure to include costs that only go out at the beginning in your budget. Sales forecasting should not be too optimistic or too pessimistic. Sales forecasting is an exercise in imagining the future, but it should be grounded in reality. For example, if the expected revenue is $800,000 for a 2-term or $5,000 tuition fee, 80 participants per session, and $12,000 in workshop revenue, the total is $812,000. If possible, try to predict 3 scenarios: conservative prediction, realistic prediction, and optimistic prediction. This way you can respond to changing situations. This was the original plan, so we have to do it no matter what. This is a shortcut to failure. You need to look at cash flow, not profit. In business, there is something more important than did you make money? It is, do you have money in your bank account right now? When predicting a cash flow statement, you need to check these 3 things on an hourly basis: when income comes in, when expenses go out, and when there is a shortage of funds. If you look at them by month or quarter, you can suddenly see moments like the March crisis and the July deficit explosion. If you know this in advance, you can prepare for it. Calculating the break-even point, BEP, is essential. It is important to know the point at which revenue equals expenses. For example, if your sales are $30,000 per month and your total expenses are $25,000, you will make a profit of $5,000. But what if your fixed costs are high? You will have to endure a loss for the first few months. Usually the first question investors ask is, when will this business break even? To answer that question, calculating BP is essential. Sensitivity analysis. There should always be a plan B. It is dangerous to expect that all the numbers will go as planned. That is where sensitivity analysis comes in. For example, what if the number of students decreases from 80 to 60? What if the cost of materials increases by 20%? If you imagine these scenarios in advance, you can determine what changes are most vulnerable and what alternatives are available in case of a risk. Funding plans should also be included in your financial forecast. Last but not least, where does all this money come from? Equity capital, co-founder capital, loans as government subsidies, investor attraction. If the source is different, the responsibility is different. Also, the time of fund inflow must be clearly stated. If the business starts in January, but the investment money comes in May. If the operating funds are empty for 4 months, then other countermeasures are needed. Financial forecasting is not an Excel task, but a simulation of the future. The key is to create a structure that says, if it goes like this, it can go well, rather than a vague, it will go well. In the following video, we will introduce SWOT analysis and response strategies. That is, how to leverage strengths, avoid weaknesses, seize opportunities, and block threats. Let's go all the way. Thank you.